11 Traps of Narcissistic Entanglement. Vent your spleen. Have your say. Give us both barrels. Let us know what you really think. Such sentiments towards my kind are entirely understandable, and they invariably occur post-disengagement and sometimes post-escape. There are differing rationales associated with this almost overwhelming need to speak to us about your experience of being entangled with our kind. Number 1. Anger. Elevated emotional thinking corrupts your narcissistic trait of anger so that you realize that you've been manipulated, abused, and taken for a fool. Your anger is substantial, and therefore, driven by this emotional thinking, you feel a pressing need to unleash that anger against us with a litany of insults and some choice language. 2. Enlightenment. You have had your epiphany and realized precisely what ensnared you, how it happened, and why. The corruption of your truth-seeker trait by elevated emotional thinking means that having seized this knowledge, and now feeling elated that you have done so, you experience a sense of superiority in finally having all the pieces of the puzzle click into place. That is fair enough, and there the matter should rest. However, the corruption of your truth-seeker trait compels you to feel that you want to confront us. You may not actually tell us what we are, but you will certainly want to use the words, "I know what you are now." Number 3. Unfinished business part 1. Many disengagements occur without you actually being told that the formal relationship between you and the narcissist is over, and if you are given such notice, you are rarely given any proper or adequate explanation as to why this has happened. This is because the narcissist operates with a sense of entitlement, lack of accountability, an absence and deficit of honesty, and it keeps you guessing and is part of the maintenance of control. Accordingly, again, driven by the corruption of your truth-seeker trait by elevated emotional thinking, this results in the need to confront us at a later stage in order to try and find out what has happened and why. Why did we treat you the way that we did? Why did we leave without explanation? Or why has the explanation that been given because it doesn't make any sense to you? Number 4. Unfinished business part 2. This is akin to the situation that I've just described, but the basis of this confrontation is in order to demand of us how on earth we could do what we did. It is done to address your need to have us explain to you what we did to you during the relationship, how we could act with an absence of consideration, compassion, and care. Moreover, this of course is compounded by the fact that we appeared, in many instances, not all of course, to care for you in the golden period, that we appeared with false compassion, although you had no idea that it was false. Once again, elevated emotional thinking has corrupted your truth-seeker trait to cause you to want to get answers from us. But that is not to your advantage. Number 5. To understand. You do not know what you were entangled with, and you are unable to comprehend how somebody could behave in that manner towards you after everything that you did for us. You are compelled, again, by the corruption of your truth-seeker trait, to detail to us all of the help that you have provided to us, the advantages that you have conferred upon us, and each and everything you did for us in the name of love. This is a futile task. You are seeking to persuade us based upon your own worldview. Understandably yet mistakenly, you think that if you reel off all of the things that you've done, not driven by arrogance on your part, but merely a desire for recognition and balance, if you like, a fair appraisal of the relationship, that we will come to our senses, that we will see that what we have done was wrong, and that we had misjudged you. What you're forgetting is that trying to explain that to us is a threat to our control, and it will be dismissed. all of the things that you've ever done will either be denied, dismissed, diluted, reduced, smeared, denigrated. You never did that for me. You only did it because you wanted something from me. It didn't happen like that. You only did it because your mother told you to do it. In that moment, despite all of your protestations about all of the good things that you have done for the narcissist, you're wasting your breath. We will not listen because they threaten our control and you are being viewed through the lens of painted black. So everything about you is wrong. Number 6. Clear the smear. Predictably enough, you will have been smeared following your entanglement with us. You have heard all about the lies that have been peddled about you, and, again, driven by the corruption of your empathic trait of justice and also the truth-seeker trait, you want the record set straight, and you want to set us straight about what we have been saying, to demonstrate to us that we were wrong, that you did not behave in the manner that we have described to other people, and ultimately, the desire to clear your name. Once again, this is futile. We have formed a view based upon our narcissistic perspective whereby you have been painted black, and all you will do if you try and correct us is threaten our control and cause us to turn the screws even tighter. Number 7, the right to be heard. You have a significant desire to want to be heard, especially since our manipulation of you will have often caused you to feel that you have not been listened to during the formal relationship. We will have interrupted you, ignored you, talked over you, dismissed what you had to say. We will have invalidated you. You want your voice to be heard. You need to articulate your thoughts and feelings, and an opportunity to avail yourself of discharging this need towards us feels too good an opportunity to pass up, and you walk into the trap. Number 8, convey the pain. Once again, there is the corruption of your truth-seeker trait, whereby you remain horrendously wounded by your experience of being entangled with us, and you want to let us know just how badly we have hurt you, how much it pains you still, and how upset you are to have been treated in this manner. Number 9, sing the praises. Sometimes, again driven by the obscuring emotional thinking, you exhibit a capacity for nobility which manages to transcend the hurt, the pain, and the anger. You remain bewitched by the golden period and all those magnificent attributes that you believe we still possess, and therefore, rather than attack us, expound bitterness, or lash out, you declare all the reasons why you still love us, why you find us attractive and mesmerizing, notwithstanding what we have done to you, and you want to wish us well for the future. Your empathic trait of decency has been corrupted and is being used against you. Number 10, justice. It is only right that you are given the right of reply after the treatment that has been meted out against you. You want the narcissist to account and suffer some form of punishment, retribution for the behavior towards you, and part of that is you telling the narcissist precisely what you think. Number 11, medicine. You put up with the tantrums, the lengthy invectives, the oral onslaughts, and you are pummeled by our words. Now you want to give us a taste of our own medicine. Whether driven by the corruption of the narcissistic trait of anger or the corruption of the narcissistic trait of pride, you want to tell us straight just what you think about us. Whatever the motivation may be, and there are 11 of the traps that you regularly walk into, your need and desire to have that final confrontation with us, to purge yourself of all those thoughts and considerations, is immense, and it is invariably very difficult for you to resist. Indeed, much of the time you do not resist it at all. Instead, you lurk to engineer situations whereby you are able to speak to us and deliver this tirade, this riposte, this howitzer. You will seek us out in order to provide us with a piece of your mind. Is there a good thing? Well, there are two potential upsides when it is looked at from your perspective. The first is that you are able to get things off your chest. All those thoughts which have whirled around your mind for weeks on end, the ifs and buts which prevented you from sleeping, the imponderables and the unanswered, have now been released as you allowed your words to explode from you in a burst of emotion applicable to whichever rationale which has driven you to this point. The second is that you may well feel that you have achieved some kind of closure by engaging in this step of giving us a piece of your mind. But the fact is, those are not actually upsides, and the reality is there are considerable downsides to us. What about our perspective on you taking these steps to have this final address towards us? What does this blast, this sounding off, and this diatribe mean to us? This is where giving a piece of your mind in such a manner is actually not a good thing for you to do at all. Here's why. 1. Sounding off in such an emotional manner, whether it is insulting us with angry words, crying with pain, savagely mauling us with a sneering and twisted face, or even expressing how you still love us, just provides us with fuel, and it is plentiful. As a shelved intimate partner secondary source or former intimate partner primary source, your potency is significant. And if you're the former intimate partner primary source, your potency is top of the tree. Do this in person, you flood us with fuel. We are winning. You are giving us what we want. You may have collared us on the telephone to vent at us. Anybody normal would end the call as they are repeatedly harangued and insulted, but not us. We will listen as we soak up all of that fuel. Of course, we will be argumentative, defensive, and belligerent, but that is because we need to assert control over you, and it also enables us to continue to keep your tirade going, owing to the plentiful fuel that you are providing to us. If you engage with us, whether in message, on the telephone, or in person, you will give us fuel. Always. Therefore, we are winning. Number 2. You provide a prime opportunity for us to commit a hoover. Either because you have given us fuel and we get you under control, you increase the likelihood of being hoovered in the future, or your action, for instance, in sending us a text message, acts as a hoover trigger, meaning that we hoover you in response because we need to assert control over you, because you've threatened our control through what you've written, and, moreover, our narcissism also wants to gather more fuel from you. The narcissism needs to assert control and sees the opportunity to obtain more fuel from you. We may express false contrition if you're hurt and upset. We may declare how we will make changes so everything becomes right once again. If you reminisce about the wonderful times, the narcissist may well offer that golden period to you once again by way of respite. If we don't hoover at this point, you have just given us a number of reasons to execute a hoover at a later juncture by confirming to us that you are either under our control or that you remain adrift in an emotional state, that you're fountaining with fuel and still beholden to us. This, at a future point when there is a hoover trigger, will be recalled by the narcissism for the purposes of ascertaining whether a hoover should take place. You demonstrate by such a tirade that you are not exhibiting the logic and reason of the situation, and your defenses are weak. The unaware narcissist picks up on this instinctively. The aware narcissist is well aware of what is going on. And this then allows our narcissism to recognize that you will be easier to control because you are not in command of the situation. We take no true notice of what you're actually saying. Yes, the mid-ranger will come out with some mealy-mouthed excuse, the lesser will lash out with a fiery response, the greater will smear some charm over you. You may think that your speech is devastating, that you're landing telling blows upon us, that you are assassinating our character and making us look terrible. You are threatening our control, and we must address that, and we will, and we always gain that control in some form. But you are giving us the fuel that we need, and you are demonstrating that you remain in a volatile state, and this can be used against you. You are increasing your emotional thinking, by interacting with us. Because this is a form of interaction, whether you are talking to us in person, on the telephone, sending a message, writing a note tied to an arrow fired into our shoulder, it matters not. You're engaging with us, and therefore you are entering an arena of interaction, which increases your emotional thinking further. Not only this means that you will not use logic and therefore commit further mistakes, it means that your recovery and your progress to freedom will be inhibited and slowed. The desire to give us a piece of your mind is vast and overwhelming, but this is the addiction wanting to be fed. It utilizes the emotional thinking against you to cause you to do it by corrupting the traits that I have mentioned earlier in this video. And no matter what upside you think you're achieving, you are not. You will give us fuel, we win. You will suffer an adverse consequence, invariably as a consequence of the way that the narcissist will respond to you, in order to assert control over you to nullify the threat that you have posed. You will increase your emotional thinking. You will increase the risk of being hoovered in that instant, or for hoovers in the future. All of these are downsides and considerable ones. And therefore, no matter how overwhelming it feels to want to issue some kind of final tirade, statement, speech, plea, to try and get us to see what we've done, that it is wrong, to try and get us to repent in some way, to even just continue to express your love, genuine as it is towards us, you should not do so. This is being driven by emotional thinking, and you should pay heed to the logic that you're dealing with a narcissist. You cannot control us because we are designed not to be controlled by you. We will respond, either directly, indirectly, or by withdrawal, to avoid the threat to control. We will drink of the fuel that you provide to us, and you suffer the downsides of increased emotional thinking and the risk of increased hoovers. Obey the logic. Once you know, you go. You get out and you stay out. Do not give the narcissist a piece of your mind. It is not to your benefit, and you will walk into a further trap of the narcissistic entanglement. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.